So this is the part that I was telling you in class can be a little bit confusing. A chain of equivalent fractions is just listing a bunch of fractions that are equal, that are the same. So here we have 2 parts and 1 part is shaded in. Then we have 4 parts and 2 parts are shaded in. Then we have 6 parts and 3 parts are shaded in. We have 8 total parts and 4 parts are shaded in, and then you can figure out the last one. So here, remember, we already know that for this first one that we're talking about eighths. So that's going to be our eighths. Then we can look at it where we count, where we do our frog jumps, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. Or you could just say what number is in between 2 and 4. So for the second one, we know that now we're looking at twelfths. And if we look at our heart, we can frog jump up from 6, or I can start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 twelfths, 7 twelfths, 8 twelfths, and there we have it. So number 4, we have, if we have 3/4, they're asking that's equal to how many eighths? So here's where I say, what did I do to the 4 to get to the 8? Or we could say 8 divided by 4 is what? And I multiply 4 times 2. Whatever I do to the denominator, I need to do to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply the 3 by 2, and I'm going to get 6. So I have 6/8 cup flour. Same thing for number 5. If I have 3/12, how many fourths do I have? Well, this time I have to say, okay, I'm going down, so I'm dividing. What do I divide 12 by to get 4? Or you could say, what do I multiply 4 by? And I divide it by 3. So I need to divide this by 3, and I get 1/4. Then for number 6, I'm going to change 3/4 into twelfths. So if I think, okay, I multiply this 4 times 3, so I multiply the 3 times 3, and I get 9. So 3/4 is the same thing as 9/12. So which is bigger? I'm going to now erase this here. If I think 3/4 is the same thing as 9/12, which is bigger, 9/12 or 10/12? And we know that 10 is bigger than 9, so 10/12 is bigger than 9/12. Then 2 equivalent fractions for 6/8. I can just say, okay, I'm going to multiply by 2. Remember, whatever you do to the numerator, you do to the denominator. And then I'm going to multiply by 3. So I have 6 times 3 is 18, and 8 times 3 is 24. On the remembering side, these are pretty basic. All I'm going to say is make sure that you are lining up your place values the way that they're supposed to go. So for example, for number 1, I would actually write the bigger number on top, just because it doesn't matter, but it just makes it easier to see. And then make sure all of your place values are lined up. Likewise with number 4, I would write the million on top, and then write the 100,000s beneath that and add them together. It's the same thing with this section. Just make sure you line up your place values. So number 10, I'm going to have like this. That's a 5. And subtract, because this is my 10,000s place and this is my 10,000s place. And for number 12, I'm going to have my millions, and then I only have these little 1,000s over here, so those need to be lined up like that. So when I'm rounding here, remember you're rounding to the nearest 1,000. So your 1,000, if I make this a tiny bit bigger, your 1,000 is the 4, the 0, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 7. And if I look to the right of that, so this is where I'm going to, it's a 5, which means the 4 is going to go up to a 5, and everything else is going to stay the same. Number 14, I have to the millions, so these numbers here are going to stay. I look to the right of my thousands place, which is the 3. It's a 2, which means that this 3 stays a 3 and everything else becomes zeros. For number 17, let's look at. I have another in the millions place. So these numbers are going to stay. I'm rounding this number. It's either going to stay a 4 or go up. I look to the right and it's a 9, which means this goes up to a 5 and everything else becomes zeros. Number 19 asks which of the movies are equally popular, meaning they have the same size. So obviously these two have the same size, so those are equally popular. Which type of movie is twice as popular as romance? So if I look here, here is romance. If I have two of those, it's essentially doing this again, which is where the horror is. And I'm looking for a shape that's this big, which is obviously this action piece. Then the last one is a little bit confusing. It says, if 50 students named action as their favorite type of movie, how many students named horror as their favorite type of movie? And I gave you a hint there. Horror is half as many as action. So if there are 50 students that named action, there are half as many, because horror is half as many as that named horror as their favorite. So I'm going to take 50, and some of you know what 50 is in half, but I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'll have 25. Number 22 says the Carsons drove 654 kilometers on Monday, 792 kilometers on Tuesday, and 517 kilometers on Wednesday. How many kilometers did they drive in total over the 3 days? So obviously, since you know Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you're just taking these 3 numbers and adding them together. Number 23 says, Otis is 3,750 days old and Casey is 4,539 days old. How many days older than Otis is Casey? How many days older, how much shorter, how much longer, how much more? We know that we are going to subtract.